from Summer of Guitar here. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about strumming. Okay, strumming is one of those things that a lot of people find a little bit difficult when starting on the guitar. So we're going to go over a few things that I use for my students when they're learning how to strum different chords and they want to play songs. And strumming is very important when you're trying to learn songs. So the first thing that I tell students is, you got to kind of keep the guitar close to your body like this, right, upright. I think the temptation a lot of times is to tip it down this way. A lot of beginners will do that because it helps you see the chords better. That's okay when you're looking at the chords and you're trying to just finger the chords just to see them, to get them in place. But once you have them in place, tuck it in tight. That's going to make the strumming process a lot more smooth and easy. So that's the first thing. Second thing is just make sure it's comfortable on your body. You shouldn't be holding the guitar up with your left hand. Your left hand is only for the chords. So you should be holding it up mostly with your arm. Your right arm and your leg should have a nice spot on your leg to rest, and it should be comfortable. So first thing we want to do when learning how to strum, you can do two different ways of doing this. You can either fret a chord, so say a C chord. Okay, you can either fret a chord, or you can just, if you're not comfortable doing that, that would be too distracting, just put your fingers over just grab hold of the neck so you get this kind of nice scratching sound. Okay, so whichever way you're going to do it, I'm going to play a C chord. Whatever way you want to do it, just hold that in place. We're going to focus on the right hand. Obviously, this is your strumming hand, or if you're left-handed, it's your left hand. But for the purposes of this video, your strumming hand. The first thing we're going to try, and this is going to help you out a ton, I think, if you break down your strumming into the different strokes, right? So one of the key things with strumming is that you have a very steady pulse to your strumming, okay? So when you're strumming, you don't want to be kind of adjusting your pulse, or it's got to be steady. So the key to making a steady pulse is to just kind of develop this motion with your hand, right? So strumming is a combination of moving from your elbow, that's a pivot point, and also your wrist, okay? So it's kind of a combination, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to that motion. So don't, this is going to take a little bit of time. Don't worry about it. There's so many things that come into play when learning how to strum. I remember when I was first learning how to strum, I was first learning guitar, this motion is kind of awkward, or it's a little different. The other thing is, like, where are the strings? I would be strumming and I'd be like missing the strings and hitting them when I didn't want to. So getting a sense or a feel for where the strings are takes a little bit of time. And it honestly, when I get a new guitar in my hands, or a different guitar, or it's a dreadnought body shape like this guitar is, it has a certain feel to it, but then you play something else like an OM or a parlor size, you have to reposition or relearn where those strings are and the position of the strings, and sometimes how far apart the strings are. That makes a difference too. So don't worry if this is taking a little bit of time. That's totally fine. But we're going to break this break our strumming pattern into different beats, and different beats go for different strokes, right? So we're gonna be in 4/4 time. So if you know a little bit of music theory, what that means is that we've got 4 beats in a measure, and the quarter note, that's the other 4. The quarter note is what gets the beat. Okay, so if you look at it, if you think about it this way, so get your chord in place. We're gonna play 4 downward strums on the numbers as we count them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Only downstrokes now. Count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You getting it? Nice job. Okay. Practice that quite a bit. Get that so that it's a nice, smooth motion. You'll start to get a feel over time for where those strings are for strumming down. Try to get every single downward strum. If you have to start slower, totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. The next step, or the second phase in learning, is to divide those quarter notes, the 1, 2, 3, 4, divide them in half. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an and. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Now divide it in half. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 if you notice, we divided those quarter notes into what are called eighth notes. So basically, each quarter note gets 2 strums. And you notice on the ands were always upstrokes, always. That is a pretty hard and fast rule. I mean, there are a few songs that doesn't work for, but for the most part, in your strumming, I would say just always focus on, if you can divide. If you're thinking about a song, like, okay, it's in 4/4 time. The and strokes are always going to be upstrokes. Okay, so that's kind of the next thing that we want to practice is the eighth notes with strumming up on the ands, down on the numbers. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, practice that quite a bit. The upstroke is a very important one, whether you're using a pick or whether you're using your hands. I like to use my fingers, but a lot of people use a pick. Whatever you want to start with, whatever you want to get good at, just start with that, and it'll be different when you get a pick in your hand. Guarantee it's gonna feel weird. I'll pull out a pick right now. It's gonna be a lot louder with a pick. That's kind of the benefit, and it's a downside to playing with a pick, is that you have quite a bit of extra volume. So play with a pick now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, got that? Feel pretty confident with your down, up, down, up. Those 2 strum patterns, are very, very essential. That many, many, many songs, the best way to play them are just downstrokes or down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, okay? So get very, very comfortable with those and try to get that sense of pulse, keep it steady, keep it rock solid. You don't want to be, kind of like varying. That's wrong. That's gonna mess everyone up. If you ever play with other people, or if you're, playing a song for people, it sounds fun. It sounds funky. So try to keep it very, very steady. As a matter of fact, I recommend maybe getting a metronome app, or even a, sometimes if a metronome is kind of boring, so maybe try to get like those drum apps that you can find on the App Store, or the Google Play Store. You can download some of those. Those can be awesome to practice with. Get a beat going behind, and then just jam out. It's also a good way to just kind of, especially if you hold a chord, if you feel confident enough to hold a chord in your left hand, you can just sit and play a chord while you're watching TV. Kind of play quieter. Play without a pick, and just kind of try to develop that sense of pulse, that sense of rhythm. Go back and forth. Okay. Once you've kind of developed that, those 2 strumming patterns, the next one that we're going to practice feels a little bit weird. We're going to take out all the numbers. So we're no longer going to play downstrokes at all. All right? We're going to play, and it's going to sound a little bit funny. It's going to sound a little bit like maybe a reggae beat or like a ska beat if you play really fast. So I'm going to hold that C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and. Don't worry about a thing. Right? So that kind of sounds a little bit like a reggae beat or something. That might feel a little bit awkward. It might feel kind of like, it's kind of an odd rhythm. Most songs that you're going to play or run across don't have that beat, but you're developing that sense of what the upstrokes are. Because here's the deal. A lot of times we get really, really good at those downstrokes on the numbers, but we don't know how to take those out in our strumming. So practice that quite a bit. That's something that you can just sit and practice for quite a while, and start to develop that upstroke sense. What those strokes are supposed to sound like, how it's supposed to feel. It feels very, very different than the downstrokes. Okay. And the next thing, once you've kind of mastered those 3 different strumming patterns, you're well on your way. And now we're going to make it a little bit more complicated. Okay. This is kind of the most popular strumming pattern in many, many songs that I've heard. You run across it quite a bit. It's a little bit, it feels a little bit funny, but it's a good one to practice. You learn a lot of different skills, and you learn about kind of combining the different types of strokes, strums together into a pattern. So I'm going to hold the C chord, and I'm just going to illustrate it for you. Don't be intimidated by it. Take it slow, all right? Down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so the things to notice about that, you start with 2 downstrokes, 1 and 2. You're missing the upstrokes there. You're just doing the 2 downstrokes. Then you're going to do 2 upstrokes after that on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you end it with a down up. Okay? So that one takes quite a while. You want to start slow, set a metronome and try to count to yourself. It's very, very important to count, I think. Counting helps a lot, and you kind of lock it into your brain, like how the ands and the upstrokes work. So I recommend that. So let's play that together a little bit, very slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and messed it up a little bit at the end, but you get the drift. So practice those 4 different strumming patterns, and I think you'll be well on your way. Then the other thing, this is kind of just an extra bonus tip. Play songs. I am a firm believer that you can drill all you want, and you can learn different strumming patterns and practice them on their own, separate from songs. But my development as a guitar player really stemmed from playing a lot of songs and listening to the songs and kind of getting a sense for the groove or the pulse of the song, and then trying to play along with it, or trying to play as similar to that strum pattern as I could. Once again, I kind of talk about these guys a lot, but the Beatles, they were great. I mean, there are so many different types of songs, styles of songs, rhythm patterns that you could learn just by playing Beatles songs, and they were so cool, so catchy, But whatever it is for you, whether it's country songs or if it's pop songs, you can find chords online if you look, as you're kind of learning new chords. Find some songs that you jive with. I've been uploading a bunch of different songs on the channel and on my website. Just maybe check some of those out. You can play along with me in the keys that I choose. If you kind of want to play along with someone, I try to make it easy for you guys. So check those out. I don't know. Good luck with your guitar playing. Keep it up. Do not get discouraged, because you're making good progress, I'm sure. Just keep practicing a little bit every day. That's going to be the key. All right, this has been John from Summer of Guitar. Thanks so much for tuning in. Keep playing.